Hey, good morning or afternoon in some cases. Listen, this post is to be just a bit late because I just wrapped up a very interesting conversation about the upcoming election that's going to be happening here in Illinois on Tuesday. Yeah, great debate about who we think will be the best and local elections that are coming up. So make sure if you live in Illinois that you get out if your right to vote. So good morning once again, everybody. Of course, today is Saturday, March 17th, 2018. It's the 76th day of the year. And of course, we're still celebrating Women's History Month. But before we get into that, I did have this day in history prepared for you. So back in 1756, it is St. Patrick's Day, right? The very first St. Patrick's Day was celebrated in New York City at the Crowned and Thistle Tavern. How about that? And of course, other major cities across the country began to do the same thing. Now, 6 years later, in 1762, the first St. Patrick's Day parade took place in New York City. And we just talked about Women's History Month. On this day in women's history, fast forward to 1989, Dorothy Cudahy became the first woman to become the Grand Marshal of the St. Patrick's Day Parade. Now, Dorothy Cudahy was an institution in New York City, especially in the Irish scene. She was known as the First Lady of Irish Radio. Go figure. Her radio show broadcast for nearly 5 decades, and sadly, she passed away in 2010. She was 88 years old. So talk about groundbreaking. And I also read that that wasn't her first. She was one of the first female city employees in New York City as well, and some other firsts. So if you want to find out more about her, name again is Dorothy Cudahy. All right. Also for Women's History Month, I'm shining the spotlight on an unsung hero of the human and civil rights movement. Her name is Dorothy Height. She is known for her advocacy work for the rights of women, families, and children. She served as president of the National Council of Negro Women for 40 years, people. And she was past national president of the Delta Sigma Theta sorority for nearly 10 years. She co-founded the National Women's Political Caucus and helped organize the 1963 March on Washington with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. That's just the beginning. She received a Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1994 and a Congressional Gold Medal 10 years later. And just last year, this past February, the February 2017, the United States Postal Service added her to its first Black Heritage series on the Forever stamp. Dorothy Height was quite a woman, and of course, again, known for her fight on behalf of women, children, and families. Dorothy Height died, sadly, in April of 2010, and get this, she was 98 years old. All right, and real quick in news, Wednesday, as we all know, I tweeted about it, and of course others, social media was pretty much lit up about the national walkout that the students engaged in on Wednesday. Of course, this was a demonstration and protest to gun violence in schools and to affect change with lawmakers in terms of gun laws and the requirements of individuals owning guns and so forth. They also wanted to honor the latest victims of the Parkland, Florida high school shooting. So across the country at 10 a.m., and I don't know how many of you knew this, but at 10 a.m. on Wednesday, this past Wednesday, they paused for 17 minutes, again commemorating the 17 lives that were lost in that Parkland High School shooting. So kudos to the young people for standing up and taking action, and of course letting their voice be heard. When I was in school, we were always encouraged to speak out and speak up, and we were taught that we could effectuate change. And if you go through history, a lot of times those change agents were, in fact, young people. So we want to applaud them and their efforts to say no more. This was it. This was the last time something like this should happen in school. And sadly, since that shooting, we know that it wasn't the last time, but at least they are making strides to reduce the number of shootings that happen anywhere for that matter, but especially in school. All right, in business news, real quick, it looks like all of our American markets were up in the last week or so. The Dow Jones, the S&P, the NASDAQ, and the Russell. As a matter of fact, the S&P's 500's biggest gainers happen to be Ulta Beauty. Yeah, they're up. And Bright House Financial, along with Western Digital. Adobe Systems was up as well in business news. In fact, they were in the news in general this past week for their efforts to try to create this new service to businesses, specifically retail and maybe the airline industry. But they're trying to come up with this voice shopping service that I think Amazon is probably the only one who's currently using it through their Echo device. But anyway, it's in the beginning stages, it's in infancy, but Adobe is sort of leading the pack in coming up with a way to help airlines, retailers, and other companies create straightforward voice interfaces for travel and shopping. Now, from what I'm hearing, it's not going to be easy, and they're trying to come up with ways to sort of streamline how the information gets to the customer through the voice, so that you won't be hit with hundreds of suggestions or ideas, travel locations. They will try to streamline it to your prior usage of the particular retail site that you're visiting or the airline site that you're going to. So this should be very interesting, and I'm going to certainly follow that to see how far things go with that. All right, and then in other news, everybody, you know that this coming up Thursday is World Water Day. And of course, several years ago, I jumped on the bandwagon through water.org to help get the word out about the dire needs, especially in those third world countries, for clean water. And so you can do the same thing. You can go to water.org. You can go to Unwater, or that's UN Water, U and N standing for United Nations, water.org, because they are pretty much championing this whole effort. Water.org happens to be a site that some of our entertainers, well, Matt Damon and some others, kind of put together to do their and this. And there's others out there, entertainers, who are also doing their part. And to bring it closer to home, the Smiths, meaning Will and Jada Pinkett, have come up with a way to help the Flint, Michigan water situation that's going still to this day that's going on there. So everybody's kind of jumped on board and are trying to do something. The latest thing that I shared with you guys, remember, let me put this in the camera so you can see it. I shared with you, oh boy, back in December, I think, or maybe November, that I stumbled upon this bracelet at one of the local retailers here. It's available through we.org, but they distribute through, I'll just say it, Walgreens. And you purchase the bracelet. They're made by the women of Kenya. They're called the Rafiki bracelets. And the proceeds go to help the women in Kenya, families in Kenya, and other that need help. They come in different colors. This is the one that I've been rocking for a while now. And of course, I've purchased others that I've given away to people for their birthdays and so forth, in hopes of encouraging them to buy some to help in that effort. And one of the things that the we.org organization does with the funds is make sure that there's clean water in some of the countries that they're helping. It's the Me to We campaign, and again, it's we.org. All right, real quick, Cafe Talk. I got it posted on all the social medias, so I hope that you chimed in. In fact, before we go, I may real quick try to jump on Facebook to see if we got any responses. But here's Cafe Talk. If you could move anywhere in the world, where would you go? If you could relocate anywhere in the world, where would you go? All right. So before I sign off, we'll go to Facebook and see if anybody, or Twitter, and see if anybody had. Twitter, you guys are wrong. I'm just going to leave that right there. But anyway, we'll see if anybody chimed in. All right. Just real quick in entertainment talk. I finally got to go see A Wrinkle in Time. Yes, I did. Oh, I was like a little kid in the movie theater. Me and at the time of day that I went, mostly a few young people, and mostly women in my age group were there. But it certainly was a magical movie. I call it magical. It's sort of like a sci-fi fantasy, if that's a genre of film. But yeah, loved it. Loved it. It's definitely a movie for family and children. So make sure you pack up the kids and take them to see it. It's a Disney film, for goodness sake. Of course, directed by Ava DuVernay and starring Oprah Winfrey and all those wonderful people. The young lady who played the daughter, who was on this time mission to find her father. Delightful young woman, and I'm sure we'll be seeing more of her, as well as the little boy who played her brother. Pardon me, I did not write their real name down, and I don't want to divulge too much of the film to those who may not have seen it, but I will say it's loaded with lots of positive messages, good versus bad, how good always wins out, how we should always choose to be good, and love. Love, 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 love. All right. So a delightful film. I highly recommend that you go see it. Okay. And I think that's it. We're going to go real quick to Facebook to see if we have any people who responded to the Cafe Talk question. If you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go? Let's see. Lots of likes on my Happy Lips Appreciation Day post from yesterday. Just having some fun. Let's see. What do we have here? Oh, California. And let's see. What else? All right, that's about it for now. Folks are saying California, I guess because of the warm weather. And quite honestly, I think that would be something that one of the places that I would say, but in terms of world travel and relocation, if I could go to a different country, definitely want to go to the motherland. And I'm not sure if I would want to go South Africa, East or Northern Africa, or West Africa, but somewhere in Africa, one of the most beautiful parts of Africa, or one of the most beautiful countries in Africa. I'm very curious about Greece. Having seen the film A Wrinkle in Time and all the beautiful cinematography of the scenes there, New Zealand, I believe, is where they were. I would love to see and maybe live there. I'm hearing Switzerland is a great place, although I don't know if I can handle their winters. So I have a long list of places that maybe I would like to relocate to. We won't jump on Twitter to see. Let's go to the other Facebook and see if we have any more responses. But it looks like California. I know when I was younger, California was definitely on my list of places to go live. Okay, so that's it for this edition of Maryland's Cafe Society. As I stated, we're going to do sort of like an official rollout on my anniversary, the show anniversary, which is the first weekend in April, but because Easter falls, I think Easter falls on that weekend, we're going to move it to the second weekend in April and do the big out. You can see some of the Toms there with the new logo and all of that good stuff. Remember, everybody, to go to the website marylandscafesociety.com to find out what's been happening. You can also, for those who are doing it, you know that you can find me on my YouTube channel, Maryland's Cafe Society. Also, check me out on Twitter, Maryland's Cafe Soch, and Facebook, Maryland's Cafe Society. Okay? All right. Well, as always, I have to tell you what love is, and love is written in the sand, but solid as a rock. I like that. And also remember, if you don't do anything else this week, be sure that you live, you laugh, and you love. As always, it's been a pleasure and a privilege, and we'll do it again next Saturday, right here at Maryland's Cafe Society on YouTube. Peace, everybody. Have a wonderful week.